Hello. The book I'd like to read to you today is called To the Stars, the First American Woman to Walk in Space. Now, we have this book, and one of the really exciting things we have is my sister got to work with Dr. Kathy Sullivan, and Dr. Sullivan graciously signed the inside of the book to my daughter. It said, "To Myra, reach for your star." So here is this book. Kathy Sullivan loved to explore. When her dad brought home blueprints of the airplanes he was designing at work, Kathy unrolled the pages and spread them out. She carefully crawled over them, studying the lines and curves. When she was older, Kathy studied other papers. Whenever an airplane flew overhead, young Kathy would stop, look up, and say, "I wonder where it's going." She daydreamed about having a pocket full of airplane tickets. When people asked her what she wanted to do when she grew up, she'd announce, "I want to see the whole world." But what job lets you do that? Later on, Kathy found out. It started with a ticket and a suitcase. The ticket says Houston, Texas, and the suitcase, there's a notebook that says Astronaut Candidate Schedule. Young Kathy loved maps and books and foreign languages too. Their strange symbols, exotic tales, and musical sounds made her feel like the world was waiting for her. Maybe she'd be a spy or a diplomat. Kathy thought adventurer had a nice ring to it. "Girls don't like those jobs," her friends said. Most grown-ups told her, "Girls are supposed to be teachers or nurses or moms." By the time she was an adult, Kathy realized something. "I know what I love, and I'm just going to follow that compass." While growing up, Kathy often went fishing with her dad and brother. The three of them climbed in the car and drove through the inky blackness so they could have their lines in the lake when the sun and the fish woke up. Later in the day, when it got so hot that she couldn't stand it a second longer, "Cannonball!" Kathy delighted in how her arms and legs moved in slow motion underwater. Kathy loved the water, even when she was grown. That's a training tank where they practice underwater. When Kathy was a teenager, she learned to pilot a plane. The first time she sat in the cockpit, her stomach tied itself in knots. There were so many dials and buttons and numbers. Years later, Kathy studied another instrument panel. That one's on the space shuttle. On weekends, when Kathy wasn't at school, she and her dad explored nearby airports. One day, they came across a strange red aircraft called a breezy. As the two of them got closer, they heard the pilot trying to talk his friend into a ride. "Oh no," the man said, "I couldn't do that." Kathy didn't hesitate. "Boy, I sure could." "Hop on," the pilot told her. Kathy counted down the minutes until they took off. On another bright blue day, Kathy listened to Mission Control count down the minutes. T-minus 3 minutes and counting. Leaving her dad behind at the airport, Kathy climbed into the seat perched near the Breezy's nose. As the pilot zoomed down the runway, the ground slid away. The wind rushed past her face so fast it pushed her cheeks back. It was like the first day of summer, or her birthday, or even both at once. Lift off! Higher, faster! Sitting on the Breezy was like being on a magical kitchen chair that could fly. Young Kathy looked at the ground below her feet. She felt like she could see the whole world. And one day, she really did. When she became the first American woman to walk in space. There's a note from Kathy. What do you want to be when you grow up? I didn't like this question when I was a little girl. I felt like I was supposed to know exactly what job I wanted, but I didn't. In those days, the only acceptable answers for girls were mother, teacher, nurse, or secretary. The things I liked didn't seem to fit into any of those jobs. I liked to explore the woods behind our house and read about faraway places and the lives of adventurous people, mostly men, because only men were supposed to have exciting jobs. I could clearly imagine being someone who knew a lot about the world, geography, geology, history, culture, and languages. I really wanted to be that kind of person, but I had no idea how to make it into a job. This book tells my story, the story of a dream come true. It tells how I built a path to some of the coolest, most rewarding jobs on or off the planet by following my passion to explore. I worked hard to develop my skills, and I had the courage to set big goals for myself. Goals that most people thought a girl could not or should not tackle. I hope my story helps you to figure out how to reach for your stars. And there's more history in the back about Kathy, about American women firsts in NASA history, and other firsts by women in space. Thanks for reading with me today.